The Yazidi religious sect had taken refuge from the jihadists. The US military is saying airstrikes will go on near the town of Sincar, but the rescue mission is now unlikely. The military says conditions are not as serious as previously feared. Thousands of Yazidis have fled to the relative safety of Dohuk in Iraqi Kurdistan after that long journey in searing heat from Mount Sinjar. Our correspondent Paul Wood and cameraman Jimmy Michael travelled by road to the mountain and spoke to the people still trying to reach safety.
This is the one road from Mount Sinjar not controlled by the Islamic State. This harsh and barren terrain, the only way of escape for tens of thousands of Yazidis. A few are still making their way out on foot. This family collapsed, exhausted, after getting here this morning. Another family told me they'd hidden for days, silent and terrified, before sneaking away past bodies in the streets. A few people remain scattered across the mountain. They've cobbled together a camp with supplies dropped by the RAF. It is brutally hot. They have next to nothing, but they say they have no choice but to flee. One man tells me the jihadis put a gun to his head and told him, "Convert or die." Like everyone here, he says he will never abandon his faith. Sheltered courtesy of the British taxpayer, they are profoundly grateful for the aid they've received, but they're also desperate for more military help. They face genocide, they say. First they came for the Christians, then us, the Yazidis, he says. They're striking all of the minorities. If the international community will not step in, all of us will be destroyed. The only soldiers confronting the Islamic State in this part of Iraq are the Kurds. The US and Britain are determined not to send troops. But even with US air support, there's not much these lightly armed Kurds can do. They're stuck here, along with those who fled. By one count, more than 100,000 terrified Yazidis fled over this mountain, many of them at risk of dying from the heat or from thirst. A humanitarian catastrophe has been averted. Most people have moved on. There are just a few stragglers left behind. But the question remains, how are these people and 1 million other displaced Iraqis going to get home when the Islamic State controls so much of the country? The refugee camp's overstretched. They squat by the side of the road in despair. The Yazidis don't hold out much hope either of a foreign intervention to defeat the jihadis. After thousands of years in this part of Iraq, these people are afraid they no longer have a place here. Paul Wood, BBC News, Mount Sinjar.
Well, Missouri State Police